Welcome, everyone, to Making Sales Social Live, brought to you by Social Sales Link. I'm Bob Woods, and I'm joined by the LinkedIn Whisperer and fellow LinkedIn and social selling professional, Bryn Tillman. What's up, Bryn?
Hi, Bob. How are you?
Doing really, really well. And today we're going to be talking about a subject that I love because of my background, and I know that you love it too: content, especially when it comes to LinkedIn and social selling. So, content's really important as it's the main way that helps salespeople, entrepreneurs, business development pros, people like us essentially, to attract, teach, and engage and nurture existing connections and potential prospects with the goal, of course, of converting them to sales conversations. In today's show, we'll share these 7 places where you can get ideas and derive inspiration to develop those content pieces. We'll also have an ebook link for you to actually download that stuff as well. But before we get to that, Bryn, what should people look for overall with their content?
That's a great question. And there's a lot of things to consider. First of all, is what is the goal of your content? If your goal of your content is to start more sales conversations, then we need to attract the right people. Bob and I had a client, it's probably a year and a half ago now since but it was a financial advisor who started sharing content and got lots and lots of engagement. But then when we looked at who was engaging, it was other financial advisors because they were sharing content they wanted to share. So as we start to really dive into where to get ideas, keep in mind we need to share content that our buyers want to consume. It's really
Mhm.
about the value that we can bring for them. It if you really want to break down what works for content, there's kind of five, I guess, pillars to break down.
Ideas, pillar.
What is
Yeah, pillars,
five
something like that. Sure. Yeah.
steps? Five elements. Elements is good. Five
Elements. Yeah, I like
elements.
elements. All right,
Okay, we'll
let's
go with
go with
elements. There are
elements.
5 elements. So the first one is you need to resonate with your buyer. They need to immediately see when they look at your content that you're talking to them, that this is content for them. Next, you need to create curiosity. Creating curiosity is what's going to get them to want to keep reading. So we've got to do that really fast in our content. Number 3 is we need to teach them something new. That leads to number 4, which is that gets them
Mhm.
thinking differently about their current situation. And
Yep.
number 5 creates a compelling moment when we move them from lurker to engager because we can't start a conversation until we know that they're there.
Yeah, and then when you combine all of those things together, you are then positioned as the thought leader and subject matter in whatever industry you're in. You call yourself a micro influencer if you want to as well, since that it's kind of a hot term lately, and I kind of
I
like it
like
too.
that
But
term.
yeah, I do too. But yeah, definitely. So that's what you want. You want to be the, oh God, I'm trying to think of like general influencers, like the Bill Gates or the Tony Robbins or the Grant Cardone or whatever
Brene
of your
Brown.
specific, yes, exactly, of your specific industry. And
Yes.
that industry can be a big industry, it could be a small industry. No matter what, though, when you're the thought leader and the subject matter expert of your industry, when you become the go-to person, when people think about, this is going on, I wonder what this person thinks about it. That's when you know that you're the thought leader.
Oh, I love that.
That's where content comes in to develop
I'm going to ask
yourself
you a
as that.
question. I want to ask you a question. Even though
Yeah.
usually you ask me the question, I'm going to ask you the question.
Ask.
The biggest thing we hear when it comes to content is I have absolutely no idea what my subject matter expertise is. I don't know how to write. I'm a salesperson or I'm a CEO, and I don't have time to sit down and write. And then when I do, I get blocked, like writer's block. What do we do? How do we overcome the challenge to come up with ideas?
Yeah, so I mean, just like almost anything else in business, it really comes down to having a plan, so that you don't have that blank sheet of proverbial paper, which is probably a Word document, staring at you in the face, going "Fill me," and you don't know how to do that. So that's why we have these seven potential places you can go to, and you probably don't even need to go to all these places either. A couple will probably do you just fine, but just know that you have up to seven to actually go to. And the very first one is one that I really, really like because this one talks directly to what your specific clients are asking about. And this is to basically review emails that you've sent or emails where you've had a conversation chain. And this could even be LinkedIn messages or whatever, too. But this type of thing that answers questions that your prospects and clients have asked you. This one's really good because this one's directly speaking to what people are talking to you about. And you could even put this in your content too. Recently I had someone ask me about X. Well, here's what I told them. I mean, obviously you would build it like more like that, but it can be as simple as that. You can get really great content pieces just out of doing that.
I love that. And when you start thinking about it, right now, as Bob said, go back, you could look it up, at these emails. But when you start thinking about it and you're answering these questions, I just copy and paste into a doc, but have some organization, right? Make sure you have a place that you can go ahead. I say a doc. I use notes on my phone, which actually syncs to my computer. So
Mhm.
I can add those ideas wherever I am. So I love that. So and I think Ken does too,
Yep,
because
Ken does too. Love that. So yeah, appreciate hearing that, Ken. So number two, um, this is definitely a little bit broader, but I like it because it kind of gets your mind expanding and thinking a little more outside of your box as well. Searching Google and YouTube based on keywords and phrases that relate to your business. Now, the key here is to actually don't read and consume the content because you really don't want to spend too much time doing this. Just get inspired by the titles that you're seeing and just make the stuff your own at that point. Because as you become a thought leader, it's your thoughts that are going to get you to that thought leader thing. So don't be tempted by someone else's thought. Pick out a title and go, oh, I know what I could do with this. Create your own stuff from there.
yeah, and I love that. So sometimes, and I think what you said is brilliant, which is don't listen or read or consume it before you write your own content. You could look at something, if it got lots and lots of engagement, it's clearly a topic, but we don't want to plagiarize, which might happen if we listen to something not even accidentally,
Inadvertently, very, very
inadvertently,
inadvertently. Yes,
right? So,
absolutely.
however, what I love is after you've published it, go back and listen to that or watch it or read it, and then mention that person in the comments asking, or send it to them directly saying, I know that this is an area that you are an industry expert in, and I would love your thoughts. Or link their other posts to that and mention them, like so that you're
Yep,
driving traffic back. So, but
yep.
listen to it and make sure you agree with it. But that's a great way to take an influencer and leverage their network. So great one. What's number three?
Number 3 is, searching for past conferences and, keynote speakers within those conferences that your prospects and clients either attended or you can imagine them attending. Because conferences nowadays are still a little bit, tricky at times. But check out the keynote topics as well as other topics that come up. And the reason why you wanna do that is because these events were already vetted. All of these topics were already vetted by the people who put on the conference. So you know that there's some thought that went into this. And so they'll likely be topics that your audience is attracted to because they were attracted, they were hopefully attracted to at least consider going to this conference. Why not borrow those ideas? And again, just pick up the titles or whatever, and then you could do everything that Bryn suggested as well there too.
That's awesome. So Ken said he wished he could stay. Ken, if you go to socialsaleslink.com/podcast, you can subscribe to our podcast. And then when this goes live, you'll get to hear it again. So
Yeah.
I just thought
And
I'd
then, yeah. And then also, Ken, just in case you want to download that ebook, it's at socialsaleslink.com/inspire. Socialsaleslink.com/inspire. So, and that's for
so
everybody too, but especially for Ken because he's got a scoop.
especially for Ken.
Especially for Ken because we
Okay.
will take care of Ken. So the fourth one is a site that I'm sure no one has heard of and no one spends any amount of time whatsoever on.
Honey.
Amazon. So, but we're going to use Amazon in a very specific way here. And you could do other book sites and things like that with this too. We just pick on Amazon because they're Amazon. So, search for best-selling books in your industry and look at the table of contents. So again, you're not consuming the whole book. If the table of contents is listed for these books, simply grab inspiration from the table of contents and then write about whatever it is that you picked up from your perspective, because again, you're promoting your thought leadership, you're promoting your subject matter expertise.
Yeah, and really it's just inspiring the idea, right? So I love that.
Yep.
All right, number 5.
Number 5. This one might be a little bit more advanced because you do need to know how to get to Google AdWords, but you can use Google AdWords to see the most searched keywords and phrases that your audience is interested in, and then write about that. So if you do have a little bit of that expertise, this is actually a really good way to drill down more into potentially more specific topics, because AdWords there's just so much data that comes out of that. You might get some different types of, adjacent, I guess, types of ideas that you can be inspired by that, maybe not a lot of people are talking about, but a lot of people are thinking about.
Yeah, but before we get to this comment, I wanted to add, and this is something that I love to do. If you Google a topic and then scroll all the way down to the end of the first page, it will show you keywords and phrases that other people have been searching for related to that topic, and that's another place to get inspiration.
Yeah, that's true. And if you're like, well, I don't want to do AdWords, but I do want to do what Bryn just suggested, that's more than fine too. I mean, that's another really good place to go to. So the next one, and this is one of my.
Let's do Susan real quick.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem.
Where's Susan?
Oh, she just downloaded. That's all. Thank you, Susan, for downloading the book.
Well, thanks, Susan. Appreciate that.
Okay.
So number 6, and this is another one of my favorites too, just because I love LinkedIn polls. So use LinkedIn polls to learn from your audience. So again, this is you actually learning things directly from your audience because you're asking them about it. So when you do the polls, give them several topics to choose from. Also very important to ask them to share in comments not only more insights about that poll as well, you can also ask them about other topics that they're interested in as well. Find out what your audience wants by asking them.
Yeah, I absolutely am obsessed with LinkedIn polls for lots of reasons. One, just that it's a little bit of research. So what if you reach out with, what is your number one priority for 2023 around X, Y, and Z? Or what is the number one challenge you see happening, right? And you have 4, you can take a look at what your audience really thinks and drill into that content, but you can take that poll and create content from that poll, make an ebook that talks about, like, here was the question to the poll, and then 27% of people answered this, and then you could put in content around that. 15 said this. I'm not going to all 4 because I can't add to 100, but ultimately you can take that poll itself and create content. So love that.
There are so many different ways to develop content that really can germinate from one initial inspired thought through anything that we mention here. I mean, there are so many different ways to, like, start a poll, do results from that poll, and just take things from there. You can do videos based on the poll. You can do there's so many
True.
different things that it's mind-boggling. You just need to get started, and that's what this episode of this podcast is all about, to really get you started. And then, once you start doing this, even after a couple times, you're going to think, oh my God, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. And then you are well on your way to becoming that thought leader in your industry. So we're
And
gonna
number 7.
number 7, use hashtags to find trending content. And you can do this on LinkedIn. So the key here is to identify the hashtags your clients and prospects are using, not your competitors. So just look at the content they're sharing and the hashtags they're using, develop your own ideas based on that. Again, maybe not necessarily really delve into exactly what they're to what they're talking about. Develop your own ideas, promote your own thought leadership.
I love it. So let's bring this in for a landing.
We are going to bring this in for a landing by reminding you it's the ebook is at socialsaleslink.com/inspire, socialsaleslink.com inspire, I should say.
Wait, let's
See.
answer
Yep.
this question real quick before the landing.
Yep. Yeah. We have a question here. If
I
I create
create
a
a
poll,
poll. You want to read or should I read? You
you
can
can
read.
read.
I'll read.
You can read.
Okay. So Ron Fleming asks, if I create a poll and then I send that poll into the message inboxes of several connections all in one action, do they all get individual messages or can they all see each other in the subject line? So
Yeah.
so there are three answers here. The first one is if you send the poll from the send button, send it to one person at a time, or if there's a couple people inside of the same organization or friends, you can add them, but there's no blind copy, so they will see it. Number 2, if you grab the link from the poll, so if you click on the 3 dots and copy the link, you could actually send that out in a newsletter or a blind CC in email if you choose to. So that they can get it that way. And then the third, I had a third. I just said 2. So the only blind copy that's going to happen though is in your email.
Right.
Sending it directly into the inbox. Oh, I think that's if you send it to one person, it's a private message. That's what my 3 were. One person is a private message, but if you send it to a group of people, they will see each other. There are times where it's fine, right? So we, our membership, we have there's probably 40-ish people in a LinkedIn message. We have a lot more members than that, but 40 people that are in this LinkedIn messaging group. So if we put in a poll there, all of them will get notified that there's a new poll, but we've all agreed to be in this group messaging. So that's it.
Yeah.
Those
Generally
are the
speaking,
3.
you don't want to put someone into a group message type of environment if they haven't already said, yes, I want to be in this group message environment. 2 reasons for that. One, you just don't want to do that. And number 2, if someone actively removes themselves from that group, everyone in the group sees that. So if you send it to like 10 people and 9 people remove themselves, they're all going to see when they've been removed, and that's just not that's kind of an icky feeling. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. So definitely, do what Bryn suggested, what I recommend as well. Send those messages individually.
Yeah. And never thought sending it outside of LinkedIn. Oh yeah, you could put it in your signature link, lots of things.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, my
100%.
friend, we're wrapping this up.
We
and
are
I
wrapping
will,
this up.
I'm going to pass it to you to put a
All
bow
right.
on it.
Passing the baton virtually or
Well,
whatever.
we've actually had the baton passed back and forth, but I'm going to give you the baton for the last time.
All right.
Right.
I'm the anchor man, as they say, anchor person, I guess I'd say
Correct.
nowadays. Thanks again for joining us on Making Sales Social Live. If you're with us live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter right now, we do this every week. So keep an eye out for our live sessions. If you're listening to us on our podcast, which means this is recorded, and you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and hit that subscribe, follow button, whatever it is that you have there to access all of our previous shows and to be alerted when new ones drop. More information on our podcast is available at socialsaleslink.com/podcast. Again, the ebook is at socialsaleslink.com/inspire. And so we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. When you are out and about, make sure to make your sales
Social.
exactly. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day, great week. See you
Great
next
life.
time.
Bye.
Great life.